Welcome to a Little Help podcast where understanding life cycles can lead to bigger and better changes. Hi, I'm April, and we got Minnie in the building.
I'm back.
And we got Mike.
Hello, hello.
All right. So we did the letter, and now we're going to do part 2 of kind of like breaking that letter down. But one thing I wanted to talk about was my name, and I know I mentioned my name, how my mom heard my name in a store. Somebody called out the name April. But isn't it was just ironic to me how Mom was born in April. But you didn't think to call me April from you being born in April. And then it ended up that I have a daughter born in April. So that was just kind of like... But
Would you have rather been called August?
I think August is nice. I could have been called August.
I would have made fun of you. Like,
what's wrong with the name August?
You could have been like
I wouldn't have wanted nothing like Augustine or, I would have just wanted to be
Augustus Goop from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Augustus who?
Augustus
Gloop. Chubby, fat German kid.
Mm-hmm.
That was his name.
I would have called you that too.
See, I would have ended up being called like October or something. What nobody would have used. That would have been my life.
I could have named you April. I thought about it.
And then your siblings tell you, no, we don't need another
Yeah, they
April.
said don't do it. They
Good
was
call.
like, no, don't do it.
Good call.
Just curious, how did you come up with her name?
Oh hell! I mean,
Mignon Snow. Because
I'll tell the world my entire name. All right.
I was going to name her Megan. I said, if I have a girl, I'm going to name her Megan. And then my second oldest sister got pregnant, and she had a girl, and she said, could I use that name? I know you said if you had a daughter, you were going to name her Megan.
Hey, this is why you always keep your names to yourself.
Mm-hmm. At least she asked, though.
She did, yeah.
She didn't just do it and then be like, oh, surprise.
Yeah.
That's just a little, PSA for the world. If you got names that you want and you really like them,
don't share them.
Keep them to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I thought, because of course I get pregnant and I find out I'm going to have a girl, and I thought about naming you Jordan. And I have a cousin who had a daughter maybe a couple of days before you, named her Jordan. So now here I am. And again, she had her a couple of days before you. And I'm like, I don't know what to name. I had no idea what to name her. So the sister that took the name Megan says, remember the little girl named Mignon, and she worked at Ponderosa with you? And I'm like, yeah. She said, why don't you name her Mignon?
Wait a minute. I have to throw this in there. So you mean to tell me that a little girl who worked, Mignon at a steakhouse? As in like filet?
Mm-hmm.
Her name was Mignon.
Okay.
And
just want to make sure I heard that right. That's all.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought about it, and I said, well, yeah, that is a nice name. Maybe I will name her Mignon. But then I wanted to put Snow in there because that was my mom's nickname when she was growing up, Snow.
Oh. Okay.
So now I'm battling. Do I want to name her Snow Mignon or Mignon Snow? So I decided, okay, you know what? I'm just going to name her Mignon Snow. So Mom's nickname was in her name. So
I like that.
I wear my little necklace that says Snow all the time for me and my grandma.
That's so sweet.
I didn't know until maybe a few years ago that my middle name was after my grandma.
Oh, really?
I thought I told you that.
Mm-mm. I think I saw in her yearbook when we were cleaning out the house after she passed away.
You are kidding.
I was like, now, wait a minute. And then that's when I asked, and that's when I learned, like, oh, that was her nickname in high school. And, like, the irony, because she's, like, the darkest of all of her siblings. All the other ones are, like, very fair. But she's, like, the darkest of all of them. So I'm like, well, I don't understand the joke here, but okay.
Yeah, so they named her Snow because she was the darkest one in her family.
So your name, April, came just because your mom heard someone say it?
Called out to their daughter in a store, April, come here, come on.
Because she was number 6, and she ran out of names.
I mean, technically, she could have gone the whole calendar. January, February. I mean, obviously not, but.
Yeah. And it's funny because she said, I wasn't going to let Daddy name you all. He wanted to name y'all all these names, and Pat and Patricia and all of the Becky and Beth and Brenda. And so Mom was like, no, I would not let him name my kids.
Grandma helped name a few of us. We all have pretty unique names or spellings.
Like, who else is there?
My cousin Yuri.
Yuri, okay.
She
You don't hear
was
that often.
named after was it a German guy?
Okay.
And your name's, Mignon is for like cute and petite. But I don't
French for cute and petite.
Oh, is that what that means?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that makes sense. I get that now because I know a little French.
And even with Angie, her first daughter was Angelique. That's actually her name is Angelique.
Oh, I like that name. That's pretty.
And you really don't hear Lauren a lot.
Well, you don't really hear April a lot. I don't think so.
Not anymore.
I don't know many
They have
Aprils.
a sister named Robin whose name is spelled with 2 B's instead of 1.
Oh, okay.
So she had her little uniqueness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Good story.
Yeah.
Oh, also, some people spell my name with an E on the end.
Which is correct? Which is the more proper French spelling?
Feminine, I think, the more feminine spelling of it.
With an E?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I have to correct people all the time.
Right.
And some people call you Mignon.
Well, so that's the other confusing thing. One side of my family, like my mom's side, they call me Mignon, and then my dad's side, they call me Mignon. And so when people ask me how to pronounce my name, I'm like, whatever.
Depends on who you're asking.
Call me what you want. Just, whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I just go by Minnie.
Which I like too. That's also really nice.
Okay.
I was named after both my uncles. That was it. My Uncle Mike and my Uncle Jim. So I'm Michael James. And the only reason I ended up being Michael instead of James is because my Uncle Jim lived really close by. My Uncle Mike did not. And he said, I don't want anyone to be confused. We're like, hey, Jim, we all both go looking. So instead, he said, just go ahead and name him Michael, and I'll give him my middle name. And then my nephew is named after me.
Wow.
Levi Michael.
Wow.
So, yeah. Not that anybody cares.
We care, Mike.
Okay.
We care.
And by the way, the reason I'm not on camera today is because I'm sitting in the DJ booth because I'd look terrible. I was not prepared to be on camera, and you both look beautiful.
Do not.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Look at me, I'm wearing my work shirt. I was
First of all,
digging stuff next door. And
I have family that would love this shirt.
I know, it's a great
it's a Harry Potter dog.
Yep. It's a corgi Potter. Yeah. I wore this to the Ren Fair a couple of years ago, and boy, let me tell you, I got attention there.
I bet.
And I brought the dog because I have a corgi who's also our mascot here for the studio. So I brought him with me, and then everyone's like, "Oh, it's adorable." So yeah, that was fun. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your story.
Okay. All right, Mignon.
All right, hopping back into it. So Granddaddy didn't have a lot to do when it comes to naming you guys. What was it like growing up with him? I know before you said that, he was interactive in terms of like building you guys stuff, but he also worked a lot.
Yeah, he was Dad worked a lot. Of course, he had to. All them kids he was having. But I guess he found leisure time, huh? Because he kept having kids. So.
Well, don't take long.
Extracurricular activities.
But Dad was a fun dad to be around. He had 2 other brothers, and just silly. Them 3 together were hilarious. I mean, you look at Sanford and Son, he remind you of Fred.
Oh, my God.
Daddy would remind you of...
Truck and all.
Of Truck and all. He really was another Fred Sanford in the family. A jokester, a lot of fun, Daddy would sit up and he would hold an apple in his hand and peel the whole apple right in front of you.
Perfectly spiral.
peeled it, and he would cut that apple and say, "Your eyes may shine,
and your teeth may grit."
Wow.
But none of this apple will you get. So, he like, don't come over here asking me for none of my apple.
But would ask you for half of anything you got.
Mm-hmm.
Well.
Yeah, he would come and he would see you with something and he would do his stomach half, So he was really funny, a jokester. Dad would definitely help with homework.
Oh, yeah.
We'd be like, Daddy, I got a book report I got to write. He said, put the pencil and paper up there on the piano and he will write the book report for you. All we had to do was copy it.
Now, I thought that this was something unique to us as the grandkids. I thought that, we came up with something brilliant. And then years later, I discovered that he also used to do this for y'all.
Oh,
because Yuri and I are about a year apart.
Yeah.
And so we always had similar homework, and she would want to go walk down the Tolliston Library, sit in the library all day and, do her little research and book reports. And I'm like, hell no, I don't want to do all that. Read. I'm going to ask this dude. And I would literally just sit there and ask him, can you tell me about the Million Man March? Can you tell me about, Dr. King and stuff like that? Or Paul Robeson, all these different people. And he would just start talking. And I caught on because he knew it. He had all the knowledge. And I would be writing and I'm like, you talking too fast. You need to slow down. I can't keep up. And he would be like, just leave the notebook there and be done in the morning.
But isn't that amazing how they didn't need the books and the history. They didn't, because they lived it.
I was going to say they lived through it.
Mm-hmm.
They knew it firsthand.
They lived it. It was on the news. It was on the radio. It was, they lived all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I think it was Martin Luther King, when he got shot, was in 1964.
Mm-hmm.
That was the year I was born.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the 60s, it's like, wow, amazing. Just to listen to them speak and talk. And that's something that I wish I had done was, even if I had videoed or someone had videoed them, just talking about their life, because they went through all of the racist stuff. A lot of even though it's still happening now, but a lot of you ain't drinking out of this fountain, you can't go to these bathrooms, you can't come in this store, you can't, certain areas they couldn't cross. It was just amazing to hear them talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know I recently interviewed my granny, me and my cousins, and got a lot of information about her upbringing, what it was like growing up in that era where, it was segregated, and even down to her telling us about her learning how to swim. And I wonder if you heard any stories like that from your parents where, they got you guys into swimming. And I know you've talked about maybe like some instances where there was a little maybe racism that took place in that setting. But how did they learn? Where did that come from for them, if you know?
I'm not really sure. I'm sure my older sister knows more about that, but I know that they had certain pools that they can only go to. It wasn't no mixed pools. No.
See, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
That just seems insane. There's stories here in Las Vegas about how when I believe it was Harry Belafonte and Lena Horne, one of them just jumped into one of the pools at the casino and said, you know what? Screw it.
Yeah.
And that was life-changing at the time.
Yeah.
I can't, hearing those stories from those people, like how fortunate to be able to hear from them.
Even in
firsthand.
restaurants, you can't go into the restaurants. I believe in Aunt Anne's movie, how she, was in the restaurant. And they were
in a sundown town.
Yeah, yeah, wasn't allowed in the restaurants and everything. Yeah. But yeah, we went through it, and it wasn't as bad as how they were coming up. It was just more or less, you better not let them black kids beat you. The white parents telling their kids, you better not let them beat you. You better not, but yeah. Yeah, because we were not supposed to know how to swim.
Why not?
A lot of black people didn't grow up swimming. They didn't,
It's like a privilege.
That's just amazing to think about. That swimming in a pool is like you have to work for that honor. Or I don't know.
We weren't supposed to have access to that type of luxury.
But see, to think of it even as a luxury is just crazy to me. And it blows my mind. It just blows my mind.
And it's funny because, back then, again, we ended up opening up, when Mom got the pool built, we did a learn to swim for kids and adults to teach other children how to swim, babies how to swim. And we would do it at Westside Pool. We had learn to swim, where after practice and everything, we would do learn to swim and have the kids and everybody and life saving. And, we taught all of that.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just curious because you had talked previously about how when the house had been remodeled, that I loved the story about with your mom was just like, I'm done waiting and just started swinging. And I love that. Yeah. But you had said that they had built their own pool,
yes,
right?
In-ground pool.
In-ground pool. First of all, that's hard for anybody to do, period. Build your own pool. But did that raise your family's class level in a way? Because not everybody can have a pool. And then to have your family literally say, you know what, we're going to give our own and build a beautiful pool and beautiful home and all that. Did that change anything the way your family was perceived?
I don't think so.
No?
I do. I think even when I was coming up in elementary school, there weren't too many people that you come across that don't know the family that I came from. And my last name is not Curtis. But they could always associate me with that family, maybe because they knew a lot of, us. We all were together. My cousin, my older cousin and I went to school together. But more than that, the teachers would say, oh, so-and-so learned how to swim at your family's pool. Or, oh, your grandma used to watch so-and-so. Or, and I'm just like, who are you? Why are you? Why are you talking to me? And why can't I get away with anything?
Yeah.
I would be like getting paddles at school and then turn around and get in trouble at home because they know the family. So before I could get home and say, hey, this is what happened, they already know.
It was already there. Yeah.
They already got the phone number and called Mom and everything, huh?
Crazy.
And I guess because I don't look at it like that, or felt like I was in a higher class or anything. Because when you're in it,
you don't feel it.
You don't feel it and you don't see it. When you're in that water and you in there swimming, all you thinking of is trying to better your stroke or better your the pain. Because before we even got in the water at practice, we ran. We had to. We jogged around the surge area. We ran stairs in the gym. Coach had bought weights and stuff, because Mom would sell M&Ms, candies and stuff, in the surge, at the school for the team. She would sell taffy apples. She ended up being called
like
the M&M and taffy apple lady, huh?
Oh, Lord. Like she was doing fundraising for the team?
Right, for the team. She would do fundraising and everything for the team. So she was well known. Well known. And we had to haul them boxes in, taffy apples in. But so we had to stretch before we got in the water. We had to lift weights before we got into the water. We did all of that before we even started practicing. So, we got this long practice to do, but before we hit that water, we had all this other stuff that we had to do before we got in the water, So, days were long and hard, and we swam year round. It wasn't, we just going to swim, it wasn't seasonal, like most sports are seasonal. Year round. We swam year round.
You also have to think in terms of, like, class and how people view the family. Even other families thought very highly, I think, of Grandma. Like, everybody wanted to be at Aunt Dorothy's house. Everybody, Aunt Dorothy was everybody's favorite aunt, and they just spoke very highly of her and the hard work that she put in to get her family where they were.
Yeah.
I think that should be taken into consideration for sure.
Everybody was Aunt Dorothy, whenever her sisters came, all the kids stayed with us, So, and she was a kid person. My mom just come to realize, she loved kids. Because even with the swim team, it was like a family. it was, they all came to her. She would go pick them up. If they couldn't make it, I'll come pick her up and bring her to to swim practice, drop her off,
Mm-hmm.
She was just like that. Just loved kids. Loved kids.
Until the last days.
She was foster parenting. When she couldn't work no more, she was like, no, I'm not about to stop. And she went into foster parenting,
Mm-hmm.
watching kids, So bottom line, she loved kids. It's like, why would you go get some more kids? You had 8 kids and now you foster parenting. And now you...
And the grandkids.
And the grandkids. All of them. Yeah. She loved kids. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to know, at what age did you start swimming? When did you learn to swim?
Oh, God. We was in the water probably learning to swim. I might be a little off, but, we were, I would probably say around 5. We were in the water, going to the YMCA, learning how to swim, and
Mm-hmm.
I think competitive once Coach discovered us, because I would be in like the 8 and under swim group,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was young, when I did start swimming competitive for AAU, Mayor Hatcher's Youth Foundation.
Mm.
Is what we were called.
Okay.
So we were swimming young, and then practice was at the high school, at Westside High School. So here we are going to, elementary school, junior high school, going over to Westside to swim for practice. So.
And what did you swim?
I was more of an IMer. I did all strokes, butterfly, breaststroke, backstroke, and freestyle. More of the longer races. Like I would do like the 500, which is like 20 laps,
Mm-hmm.
50 freestyle, 100 freestyle backstroke. I hated the butterfly. Hated it. My sister was amazing at the butterfly. I could do it, but wasn't one of my best. So I swam pretty much all strokes, but Coach kind of tried to keep me more in free, back, and breaststroke.
Okay.
See, I hear all of those and I've heard of them, but my goal was get in the water, don't drown. That was it.
And then, because it was like 4 girls, so we always had the IM. We did the IM, my sister would do the butterfly. I was hitting the backstroke. You had another girl doing the breaststroke and another girl doing the freestyle, So, yeah, we had her awesome.
What was your favorite? What did you enjoy the most?
Probably breaststroke.
Well, I thought you said you didn't like...
I didn't like butterfly.
Oh, butterfly. Okay.
That's a. Whew.
See, already I forgot the difference between the two.
Oh, Lord.
Butterfly's a lot of motion and work, man.
I've seen it, and it looks exhausting.
We can do them all, but
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But breaststroke was your favorite. That was
I
what you
would say
enjoyed the most.
breaststroke. Mm-hmm.
What about you talk about your sister who you said she was good at the butterfly. What about your brother?
Oh man,
He was almost like Olympic level.
yeah, he was. He could have been Olympic level.
Mhm.
My brother, my oldest brother, was awesome. They would be so angry, we'd be at the meets and the races would get so close, and it was the Curtises and the Pickfords, and they always tried to beat us, and especially with Hank, they always tried to beat him, and Hank was kind of short, so when it came down to the flip turn, Hank would kind of lose him, but you would see him catching up. So it was always exciting. It was always stumping in the bleachers, but he would always win. He had this awesome, start, when you say ready, set, go, and oh my goodness, it was just something to see. He was amazing. The guy that coached Mark Spitz, Doc Councilman, asked my mom to train Hank for the Olympics, but it was, she couldn't afford it. So, yeah, he wanted
Now,
to train him.
Who is Mark Spitz? Are we supposed to know this name?
I know that name.
Oh.
Yeah, he was.
Forget it. He was in Olympics.
Was gold?
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. I think he got seven gold medals.
Yeah,
Mark Spitz.
he was. That would have been
1970s,
70s, 80s?
Back in the 70s, yeah.
Something
Like
like that.
70s, 80s, yeah.
Yeah, because then I think
Mm-hmm.
I just had it on my
Mm-hmm.
of the 80s.
Mhm.
In the 80s, I remember diver was Greg Louganis, but that was diving.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember swimming. So I shouldn't have even opened my mouth. Never mind.
It was
trying
so
to
funny,
make me look
you know.
crazy.
No, I did know who Mark Spitz was, but I just couldn't. I should have just left it at that.
We had a couple of divers that were awesome.
Did you ever dive?
They had a trampoline that we used to play on before we would get in the water. We'd play on this trampoline. So Coach was looking at me because I was tiny. I was small. Coach was like, we had to try to make her out of a diver, you know.
Okay.
And he wanted to try to get me to, I said, mm-mm. I was so afraid of diving because I felt like if I make that, you know, you can just a lot of flipping. And,
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm like, if I make that flip and hit my head on that, I was always afraid of missing the flip and hitting that board. I was like, oh no. So I couldn't do it. We would play on the diving board.
Yeah.
Throw bricks off of it and tie bricks to us and got to get out of, you know, go
Really?
underwater. Oh, we would have
What's
fun like
wrong
that.
with
We
you?
would have fun like that.
You scared of hitting your head, but you would tie
We would
bricks to yourself?
after practice, when practice was over and he blew that whistle, we would have a few minutes of playtime and we would do all kind of crazy stuff.
So the bricks wasn't part of training. It was just something.
We just playing. It was a rubber brick. It was real. It was a
Yeah.
heavy rubber brick, and we would throw it, you know, and yeah.
See, and y'all wonder why I be having questions. Something is not right.
We would have fun. We would be running around
Sounds
the
fun.
pool, and you know, we would have a
crazy.
blast. Yeah,
That is insane.
yeah, yeah. We can flip backwards. We would do backwards flips, and you know, but to become a diver, oh God, I was like, oh, I was so terrified of that.
Because how high is like the highest? It's like,
I think it's 12 feet.
yeah, it ain't
12
low.
foot pool. Yeah,
Yeah.
you had the low dive and you had the high dive. Yeah,
Yeah, me either.
Wasn't it? It was a diving board in the backyard too, but it wasn't a very high.
it wasn't a high one, but we did have one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my brothers would dive off the roof, off the house.
Get out of here.
So would mine.
You did?
My brother would jump off of various roofs.
Mm-hmm.
You guys,
Into the
are,
water,
you guys are
yeah.
brave.
He would jump
Not
off
me.
of roofs and with like skates or on a skateboard or
Oh,
no water.
no broken bones in this time?
Yeah,
Oh,
broken bone.
okay. Because that would seem to be the logical thing that would happen.
At what age did you get tired of swimming?
I think after my brother and sister left, Robin left first in 79, and then I had a brother that graduated in 80, and I told Mom, I said, I don't want to do it anymore. I think I was a sophomore.
Mm.
I was a sophomore in high school, and I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. I was tired of swimming, and she said, okay.
What changed?
My brother and sister was gone. It wasn't
Oh,
no more
okay.
fun.
All right.
But you know, it gets tiring because, like I said, it was year round for us. We never got a break.
Yeah.
Mm.
You all must have been in phenomenal shape, though.
Because
Swimming is one of the best.
you use every muscle in your body.
Yeah.
We ate whatever, you know. Yeah,
They were
Yeah.
all very small,
yeah,
very toned.
Yeah, I bet.
very toned,
I bet.
because you're using everything.
Sure.
Have you ever thought about going back into swimming, just like leisurely?
For play, if I get in the water, it is definitely for leisure.
You wouldn't do it like for exercise?
I wouldn't mind doing it for exercise, but again, that's still not competitive. It's still a leisure for me, even getting in there doing it for exercise.
Mm.
What about coaching?
Oh no,
You wouldn't want to coach?
no.
She
That-
had an opportunity to teach and was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, a guy
Really?
came and asked me would I go back to Westside to teach or to coach, and I said no way,
Why not?
no.
Just too much
I
work?
mean, it is. It's a lot of work. Even
Yeah.
you know, with teaching kids, teaching adults, and adults are more afraid than kids. You know,
Mhm.
they really got that fear,
Yep.
high fear level. You know, but
What was your experience like trying to teach me?
no. You know, when you try to teach your own children, it's harder because they want to grab on you. They don't want to do what you say. They feel like mommy is going to save. No,
Mhm.
no. So it was always better. Like if a brother or sister taught them, they would learn better.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. But
My
a
granny taught
mom
me how
trying
to
to do
swim.
it was harder.
My granny had to teach me how to swim.
Great. But but you never did become like that. You know enough.
Mm-hmm.
She knows
Saved
enough.
my life.
Yeah.
That's
And it's
all that
something
matters.
that I feel like all children should learn to swim, or a parent or because could you imagine your child out there drowning and you can't do nothing but look at them drown because you don't know how to swim yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't imagine,
They did that with my nephew. They started when he was 3.
I had 6 months.
Two,
I
I'm
had
sorry.
6 months old in the
But
water.
but I was gonna say by the time he was 3, he could.
Yeah, they
he
were
could
running
easily,
and jumping, and because they're not afraid.
Yeah, he knew that if he landed in the water, roll over, so he's on his back and float, and it was amazing to see it. But they did. They started him so young, and they were putting in a pool in their house as well, and they were like, well, we don't want to have to worry about him being out in the yard. Yeah. And falling in.
Falling in the
now
water and can't swim. And you're looking at your kid floating, it's like.
And he was good.
So I would suggest to anyone that have children to find somewhere for them to learn how to swim. They need to know how to swim. Or you better keep them away from water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm grateful for it. I really am grateful to know how to swim.
Clearly you got a lot out of it.
Is it something that I wanted to do? No, I always wanted to learn gymnastics, but that never happened. If I had a choice, that would have been what I would have chosen to do.
Did Jason ever learn to swim?
I think Hank and Jerome taught Julian and Jason. My brothers taught them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking a little bit about when you stopped swimming, you were like a sophomore in high school.
Mm-hmm.
What were your high school years like outside of swimming?
I'm glad they can see your face because the look you just made said a lot. Spill it.
I went to school. In school, it's not like, I did enough. I was always that student that did enough to pass.
That was me too.
And get my diploma. I did enough. I didn't like school. I just the whole comprehension of, why am I here? Why am I in school? It didn't click that you're in school to learn so you can get the grade and get the good job and go to college. And, it was like, okay.
See, I was like that too.
You did it because you knew you had to do it.
And that was me too. I was like, you know what? I don't like this. If for me, even as an adult today, if there's something that I don't like, and don't start analyzing me on this one. But if there's something I don't like, I will put it off, and put as little effort into it as possible. And that was me with high school. I had absolutely no interest in anything that I was supposed to learn. I spent most of my time down on the theater stage crew. I was doing that, graphic arts, that stuff I loved, I excelled in. But anything else, I would say high school is the reason I have no skin left on my teeth because that's how I barely got through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can relate to that totally.
I was the same way. I didn't want to do like schoolwork, like math, English, science. I actually oddly loved geometry, but that was only one semester in 1 year.
And when have you used it since?
Never.
Never. Same with
I thrived in choir and home ec and like
I love choir.
Learning to cook, learning to sew, things like that. And I was in every performance as far as choir went. But other than that,
right. It's like how much do you, how much of it did you even use or
remember?
Or remember, how much of it did you really apply to your jobs? And
let's talk about how they drill math in our heads and tell us you're going to need to know how to count without using your fingers. And then every phone now has a calculator on it. That's really that. Ooh.
Yeah.
Another one was I thought stop, drop, and roll would play a bigger part in my life based on how much they wanted us to learn that.
Or the tornado drills.
I've never been on fire
all the time.
Yeah.
The way that they would put us in the hallway, make us crouch down and put our hands over our head, so your whole back and spine is exposed, but you're covering your head and your neck. Like, that doesn't seem like the best way to prepare for a tornado.
Yeah, so I wasn't like with the in crowd or anything when I was in school.
That surprises me.
No, because like I said, swimming, the people that you swim with, when you go into the lunchroom, you got your basketball players are all sitting together, your football players are all sitting together, the swim team all sitting together, the wrestling team all sitting together. So that was your group.
Yeah.
That was your group. So I wasn't like with the the girls at my age, or I knew, I did have some, I had some friends, but I wasn't like in that popular group, and so
Were you still able to be in the swim group after you left the swim team?
I didn't want to.
Really? Okay.
We were all, I could. It wasn't like,
You weren't rejected or anything. You were just
I was
had nothing else in common
yeah.
anymore at that point.
I was just done. Yeah. Like I said, I did have, a few girlfriends, people that I went to school with and people that I hung out with. And, at that time, my mom had brought my brother a Camaro. Because one of the teachers was selling it. And so she had bought this Camaro. So, girl, lunchtime, I'd be like, Mom, can I get the keys to the Camaro? I would get the keys to the Camaro. My mom worked there, she was a security guard. So I would get the keys, Camaro lunchtime, go grab some lunch, McDonald's, come on back, So
y'all got to leave campus?
Yeah.
That was back when we were trusted.
Yeah. They stopped that when I was in middle school.
Me too.
Yeah. We can leave and go. And
That's because you would come back. Today, we'd be like, see ya, and off they go and never come back.
Come on, my mom worked at the school.
Well, for you, yeah, you'd have no choice.
I would leave high school and not come back. And be like, you know what?
I would have.
I'm done for the day.
I would have, except I know I'm the one who would have got caught.
I would say I was sick. And I had a car at the time, and I would just go home. I don't care about getting caught. I'm done.
Yeah.
I've had it.
Now, there's some days that I would ditch class and go and sit in my auntie. I had an auntie, my auntie.
Me too.
My auntie's class, and I would go sit in her class. She taught special ed, and I would just go in there and have a good time.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
I would leave any class and go to either LaJoy's classroom or Auntie Betty. And they would give me passes to do it. Thank you.
And mind you, now wait a minute. Now, Mom worked in the school when I was, ditching in her sister's classroom. So yeah.
I'll never forget. I will never forget when I got into a fight at school, and the girl got more days than me somehow, and I only got 2 days suspension. And I was like, well, how come this seems unfair? How come she has more days out of school than me? And they're like, well, that's because you Betty's baby. And I would not talk to my Auntie Betty for like at least a half a year because I got tired of everybody calling me Betty's baby. I am my own person. I wanted more time out of school.
Really?
Foolish.
So you wanted to get your butt beat, huh?
I did.
And they saved her, many a days, because some things I didn't even know that she did, because they kept it from me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they intentionally didn't tell you?
Yeah.
Well, you were lucky.
Thank you. Okay, tell us more about your high school experience.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we be going,
I want to get into the songs you were talking about before.
Oh.
Let's talk about your music.
She's talking about the 70s music. And
I used to listen to the music with your sisters.
Yeah. I would go upstate, because back then we had the LPs. We had the record player, the LPs, the 32s, and the 45s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
the 8 tracks?
Okay, Youngin, do we have to really explain the 32s and the 45s, the albums, the 32s, the records with the 45s?
If you had just said like vinyls, okay.
The vinyls.
But like, what is an LP? What's a 32?
Do you remember what LP stands for?
Mm-mm.
LP stands for long play. So because it would play the whole thing.
Is that like
each song,
a tape?
The whole album was an LP, a long play album. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It would go one song.
What are you looking at me all weird for?
Were these also like a type of vinyl, or was
it was vinyl. It was a big vinyl record
player.
Yeah.
Oh,
like the ones that you bought up there in
They just had different names. The LP.
The 32, they was like the size 32, Was it
I thought it was 33.
32s.
See, I remember 33s, 78s, and 45s.
I remember 32s and 45s. Okay.
But yeah.
All right.
Okay, so what are some of the music that you would listen to on these LPs?
Yeah, what were your favorites?
45s.
Oh, God. Well, of course, the Jackson 5.
Of course.
Well,
of course.
They're from Gary. How could you not?
Right.
Temptations.
Okay.
Earth, Wind, and Fire. Isley Brothers. Shy Lights. Marvin Gaye.
Oh, I like your library. That's good music.
Just gonna keep going. What throw some female vocalists in there. What you got?
Gladys Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Retha.
All day. I got a
Ain't no Aretha. It was Retha.
Retha.
Well, I got a Aretha vinyl at home.
Shaka Khan. It was Rufus.
And Shaka.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You got your Patti LaBelle.
Mm-hmm.
Dionne Warwick.
Mm. Mm.
Great,
Don't
great
get me to
music.
singing.
Please don't get her.
Diana Ross.
Hey, if it comes out, it just comes out. When it feels, when the music is that good.
No.
Look, get to doing a pat.
About time for us to wrap up here today. Now, what would you say was like some of your favorite deep cuts?
What do you mean?
Like in high school, if you play this song, it's gonna make you feel some kind of way, whether it be happy or sad or
Tied you to an emotion.
Oh my God, that girl! I can't even think off the top of my head.
Maybe the next episode we need to play some of them while you're talking and see if they trigger some
Oh,
memories.
can we do that?
Yeah.
you play snippets.
Yeah, little short
YouTube
little clips.
might shut
Girl,
us down.
it is too many.
And now that you tell me, now that I have like the genre that you're in, I could probably come up with.
What? You can even go to the Average White Boys, the Average White Band. Is that what it was?
Average White Band.
Yeah, the Doobie Brothers. And,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of bad white groups. Chicago. And,
Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Oh my goodness.
Do any of these sound familiar to you?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Just checking.
I listen to a lot of the music that she listens to.
She listened to, and it's funny
I
because
listen to it now. It's like that's
you even
my
go to like
favorite.
back with Mom and Johnny Mathis, and we listen to a lot of the old. We go way back to music.
See, I was lucky too because my parents were about 9 years apart, and my dad was very much into the folk bands, the music the Kingston Trio and stuff like that. My mom more along the disco era and I forget her name now. Not my mom's. I know my mom's name.
Yep.
I can't remember the groups that she used to love, but I mean, she was of course into Elvis and she was into all that too. It's just I think that, and being a former radio DJ, I think the 70s and the 80s had some of the best and most established bands and music in history.
So we just gonna leave the 90s out of this?
No. But the 90s, if you go back and look at the 90s,
come on and say it.
There's a lot of good 90s music, but let me tell you something. Most of
them got their beats from us.
Exactly. Most of it came from something from the 70s or 80s.
We made. And the only way that the old school that we like it, because we ain't all into that hip hop and stuff, but they made They made a hip hop song out of some of our music that make us love it.
Out of some El DeBarge, and it take you back to.
It'd be like,
El DeBarge and Lionel Richie and
that's what I say. There's so many you can't even just. Oh my God.
Yeah, I need to do that. I think we need to do a music episode, just a music episode.
Oh my goodness.
And just play clips and see what they remind you of, because I know that there's so many songs out there that'll trigger a memory that you don't know you have until you hear it. You know what I mean?
We have an uncle in the family, uncle that married into our family, married one of my mom's sisters, Uncle O.C. Smith, who made Little Green Apples.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that, but some of you all that know.
The name I feel like I've heard.
Yeah.
For sure.
Our uncle.
That is so cool. So cool.
Who's no longer with us, but loved Uncle O.C.
You got quite a few names in the family. You got Aunt Ann, who was the golf player.
Professional golfer.
Oh, okay.
And then on my other side, my cousin Art, who was a famous saxophone player.
Art Porter.
Wow. There's a lot of talent in your family. That's very cool. What was the first concert you went to?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you the first concert.
Or how about the first one you remember going to?
Oh, geez. I mean, I've seen like Glenn Jones. I've seen Earth, Wind, and Fire. Oh, she don't know Glenn Jones.
I don't either.
Oh, good. I don't feel bad then. All right.
Well, it's one. She's up to like
Glenn
7.
Jones is awesome.
I didn't know we were keeping score here.
I am.
but okay, you all can't be having me trying to go back in here and remember all of that.
All right, Mignon, what was your
I
first
seen Charlie,
concert?
Uncle Charlie.
What was your first concert, Mignon? You're gonna laugh at
See,
mine.
it's hard to.
It
go
was
back and remember all of that.
probably so. The first one I can remember
Mhm.
was when I went to. It was like a Nickelodeon fest with one of my older cousins. She's like 7 years older than me. And her favorite artist at the time was Maya. So I believe Maya was
Oh, wow.
there. And like
And that was when they were doing like the
90s
tours.
groups, like
they'd bring a bunch of them.
Blackstreet and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it was a bunch of people. I can't remember all of them, but I know for sure Maya had to have been there. Christina Aguilera, something like
You've
that.
been to a lot of those concerts where, like you said, they have a lot of different groups and
Yeah, I go to
different-
festivals.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
she goes to those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first concert that I remember was when I was first starting out working at a radio station. I was like 14. I had an internship and I was so lucky. And oh my God, it was, first of all, you won't probably remember these names.
All right.
Maybe one I'll bet one you recognize.
Okay, let's go for it.
It was Seduction, Young MC, and Milli Vanilli.
Milli Vanilli.
We know Millie.
Milli Vanilli. Yeah.
That's it.
So Seduction, Young MC. Young MC did that song Bust a Move.
Okay.
I just spaced. I was going to give you a line, but I can't remember the lyrics. Just bust a move.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seduction, they were kind of like at the time. It was actually at the time Seduction and Vogue were both kind of going back, right? But and Vogue is who took off.
Oh yeah.
Seduction just kind of fell away, but they had a couple hits. Yeah.
Bop.
Oh, you gonna tell them the story?
Oh, is there a story?
That was her song. When she was a little girl, that was the first song she ever.
In Vogue?
That was her first song. Ooh, bop.
Okay.
Oh, I'm never gonna get. Was it never ever? Yeah. So.
Oh.
You're never gonna get it. Yeah.
Never gonna get it. Never gonna give it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna.
She
get
would
it.
always
Okay.
say the part. Ooh, bop. So like.
Give us a little.
No,
Come on.
I will not.
She got in trouble one time, and my sister Robin,
I thought it was Dorothy.
was it? No, I think it was Robin.
Mm-mm.
Was it Dorothy?
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "Ooh," like you gonna get it, and then when Dorothy was saying "ooh," she said "bop." I said,
Love it. Oh, that's funny.
so that was her thing. Ooh was associated with bop. It wasn't like you in trouble. It was a song we about to sing. Yeah,
That's funny. Good song too.
that was the first song. She 1 year old. First song she ever
Good for you.
sang.
I have respect.
But it was so funny because she told me, she said, "Ma, she said, you were really a bad parent because you would take us to school and we would be listening to Lil' Kim."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was
And
like,
Biggie.
I'll assume not
What
the
was the name of the song?
edits.
Um,
Lil' Kim? Oh, what was her big hit?
I used to love this song.
what was
too.
it? I got a crush on you. Crush on You?
Yeah, Crush on You.
I remember that song. I don't think that was the big. See, I go by radio
Oh,
hits.
yeah, it was Crush on You. So,
But
if you
yeah.
listen to the words, it's like, but I'm
Mhm.
taking it to school and I'm blasting it. I was in my,
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
had a sports car, so I'm in my sports car taking it to school. And
Yep.
I got Lil' Kim blasting.
There you go.
They ended up knowing the whole song.
Lil' Kim, Biggie.
She know all this stuff.
Biggie. yeah.
What was it?
Tupac?
Montel Jordan. No, she didn't play a lot of Tupac.
No,
My brother was in the Wu-Tang at the time.
I never liked Wu Tang. Well, of course, that was also I couldn't play it on the radio. There's a lot of stuff that couldn't be played on radio when I was doing it. So it was like, all right,
Play anything now.
Or the edit of it was so edited out that what's the point?
A lot
You
of
know.
New Edition.
Yeah, I played a lot
Oh,
of
I
New
love
Edition.
New Edition.
I did.
A lot
I
of New
did.
Edition.
Yeah.
I got to introduce New
Blackstreet. I
Edition.
played a lot of
lot of
Blackstreet, New
Blackstreet.
Edition. Yeah, I did. Boys to Men. I played a lot of Boys to Men.
Not as much as you play New Edition.
New Edition was it. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
I have a funny Boys to Men story too, if you want to hear it. I grew up in and started my radio career in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is just right outside of Philly.
Mhm.
Well, when Boys to Men came out, the first place they tried to get stations to play was in Allentown, Philadelphia, that entire area. So I remember playing for the first time Motown Philly by Boys to Men. And people were calling like, what is this song? And we were like, this is a new group. These guys are from Philadelphia and it's going to be huge. And they were like, yeah, no, it's not going to be huge. And then we
Oh,
ended
yeah.
up doing a concert introduction with them in Philly.
Wow.
And we were backstage hanging out with them. And it was no big deal because nobody knew who they were yet. And they were just the coolest guys and, of course, sang phenomenal. And then fast forward to about 5 years ago, I was working for an airline. And guess who walks up to check in with me?
Oh, wow.
One of the guys from Boys to Men. And I said, I was one of the first stations that played your songs.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, really? And I said, yeah, it was, whatever the station name was in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And he could have been faking it. He was like, I remember you guys did the concert down in Philly with us. And I was like, maybe he did. So they were really down to earth guys and really cool. I love their music. And to this day, they're obviously icons now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Was Wanye one of the ones on
Mhm.
Boys to Men?
Wanye Morris.
That the one you saw? He's got like
Who was the
he's got like 5 kids named Wanye or something now.
I can't remember. I know, right? Whoever was the lead singer, and I feel horrible that I can't remember their names now.
I can't either. I know New Edition, Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I can't remember all their names, but it might have been Wanye. It might have been.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's dope.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was cool.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Who would you say is your favorite now? Favorite artist? I mean, I have one, and it's
Come on now.
she top 2 and she not 2.
Come on now. Who always thought Neo? I love me some Neo.
Yeah.
She got me tickets to see Neo out here, and oh my goodness, he put on a great show. I just look at Neo, and he's from Vegas. Of how he started, he started on what's the show where they boo you and
Oh, the Apollo?
Oh, Showtime at the Apollo.
And they actually, booed him off, whatever. But I guess Neil was like, I'm going to keep pushing. But, just him as an artist, the music that he makes for other artists.
He's a great writer.
Wonderful writer, great singer, great dancer. It's like he's the whole package.
Mm-hmm.
Just amazing. And he even acts. He's an actor, So I love me some Neil.
He just got to get his love life together.
He got to get that love life together. He didn't went out there and just totally messed up.
It's like, come on, bruh.
You got fans. Come on.
Well,
Oh, God. We know who yours is.
Hang on, give me a hint. I want to see if I can figure this out.
She top 2 and she not 2.
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
Give me another clue.
She's the queen of the world, yours and mine.
Beyonce?
Absolutely.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Abso-freaking-lily July can't get here
All right,
soon
then
enough.
I'm going to add tickets maybe?
No, I already got
I
tickets.
figured. So let me throw this at you because I've often asked this and I ask you both the same. Are you a fan of Beyonce as well, April?
She better be.
Not like her.
Okay.
I mean, I can do some of Beyonce's music, not all of her music, not like her. And if you say anything bad about Beyonce, don't talk about, it's like, girl, bye.
So I think I feel the same way about Taylor Swift as you do about Beyonce.
Oh, wow.
Because Taylor, I'm like, that's just too much. Anyway, let me ask my actual question though.
Oh, my God.
So when we're talking about Destiny's Child,
Mm-hmm.
did she stand out to you then, or was that just Destiny's Child? That's cool.
No, I've
But-
been a fan since. No.
Okay. Okay. Fair. So before she broke out on her own,
Yeah.
she stood out to you.
So it's important to know that I grew up with one of my older cousins. And again, she's the same age as Jason. So
Jason,
she's about 7 years older than me.
Mhm.
So a lot of my influence as it relates to my musical taste comes from her as well.
Okay.
So she was born in the 80s.
Okay.
And when Destiny's Child was big, that's all she would play.
And
all the
Destiny's Child
time.
would have been, if I remember correctly, mid 90s,
Yeah.
94, 95.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's all she would play. So I knew No, and the remix.
Yeah.
And then when they came out with Writings on the Wall, that album,
Mm-hmm.
that was all me. We would like pose like we were in the music video for
Okay.
Bills. Like,
Yeah. Independent Women was one of
Yeah.
my favorite songs of theirs. I love that song. So but
Part
I didn't,
1 or part 2?
probably part 1.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't realize though, like I didn't know Beyonce was Beyonce. I knew it was Beyonce and Kelly and the other one.
Well, Beyonce didn't know she was Beyonce until she broke out and, did her own thing.
That's true.
Mhm.
That's true.
Mhm.
But I think they knew of the 3, it would likely be because Kelly tried. Kelly had like 2 singles.
Well, listen. First of all, Kelly has many hits.
But
Let's
not-
not too much on my good sis
But
Calandria, okay?
not as big as Beyonce's and not even close.
But she has other talents. Kelly is an
Yeah.
amazing and phenomenal actor as
Yeah.
well, or actress.
That's true.
You
That's
can't
true.
say nothing about Destiny's Child or Beyonce, but
You could say some stuff about Michelle.
Was that the third?
Yeah.
See, I couldn't remember the third one.
She broke off and became a gospel singer, and she's good at what she does, but
Okay.
vocally, she ain't no Beyonce or Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
But I also heard that there's a reason why they don't tour again as Destiny's Child,
Okay.
because they know no one would be coming to see the 3 of them.
Bullshit.
They'd be coming to see Beyonce.
Bullshit.
You think so?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mike,
Anybody
stop.
in the
Mike,
beehive.
stop it.
Anybody in the beehive will tell you
I'm
if
sorry, I started
Destiny's Child goes on tour together, they all showing up. They all showing up. Because it's a reunion we need, that we've been begging for
I'd go.
years.
Don't get me wrong, I'd go, but I also want to see the Spice Girls go back together again.
Me
So,
too.
yeah.
Oh, I love the Spice Girls.
That would be amazing.
How many times would you say I watched the Spice World movie?
You know what?
More than you want to remember, probably.
You know, back then we had the Blockbuster videos
Mhm.
and the, what is it,
Hollywood
Hollywood.
video.
Hollywood video, yeah.
We would go, let's go to Blockbuster. Okay. She'll go and get the same movies over and over. Spice Girls, Grease.
Mhm.
Oh, Grease was good.
What else did she would buy the same? It's like, why do you keep buying the same?
Anything Mary-Kate and Ashley.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That surprises me.
Loved it.
So it was like a waste of money.
Mm.
To you, I enjoyed it. Wasn't it for my entertainment?
How many times you see The Wizard of Oz?
Mm-hmm.
The Sounds of Music.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched The Wizard of Oz last night.
I have both of those
Literally
on
just last
DVD,
night.
so
Now?
you really can't count how many times I done seen them. Well, first of all, The Sound of Music holds a special place in my heart because it was introduced to me by my granny. And it is one
Okay.
of my granny's favorite films to this day, and probably one of the only ones she will sing along to.
Okay.
So,
That was actually me with The Wizard of Oz. I remember my grandmother sitting us down
Remember,
for
you
that.
used to sing every song. Was it the Wiz? The what was it?
no, it was on The Sound of
The
Music.
Wizard. You used to sing. No, it was some songs. You had the.
The soundtrack to The Wiz?
Was that the one you used
Yeah,
to sing?
Jerome bought me the soundtrack to The Wiz on cassette one year
I'm like,
for
and
Christmas.
she wouldn't shut
Mm.
up. It's like,
But The Wiz had, I didn't like the movie
Mhm.
because I don't think, forgive me for saying this,
I don't know.
I don't think Diana Ross was at the right age to play that character.
Mm.
But
Ah.
I loved the soundtrack.
Mhm.
I absolutely
Mm.
loved the soundtrack. I think it was one of the best ones ever.
The Wiz terrified me. Eveline
Oh,
was
yeah.
the scariest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And to the point where I didn't watch it again until I was an adult.
You know when I got over that too? When I realized that she was Mama on What's Happening. Mabel King.
Mm.
mhm. Which is one of the TV shows I used to love to watch. What's
Oh,
happening?
me too.
Mhm.
Loved that show.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Do we have time to run through some of your favorite TV shows growing up?
go for it.
Can we?
Go for it.
Well, of course, you know, Sanford and Son was one of them. The Facts of Life,
Mm.
The Cosbys,
Mhm.
The Brady Bunch. I used to love The Brady Bunch. Three's Company.
Oh yeah.
Come on now.
Hang on. One day at a time.
One day at a time. What's happening?
feel
What's
like-
happening?
You
Mhm.
used to watch Bewitched a lot.
Oh, I
too.
loved Bewitched. And Jeannie.
I
Dream of Jeannie.
I Dream of Gina.
Yeah.
Yep.
When
got
did
my
you
brain
become
going.
a Golden Girls fan?
I watched Golden Girls a long time, way before you did. You just came in and started watching Golden Girls.
I am a
but
Golden Girl.
I had watched them when they were like first came out, and then she goes to sleep on it as we, today.
Every night I do.
Between that and Reba. Mm-hmm.
I could quote my best friend Paul and I sat down one time, and there's this Golden Girls trivia game. And not only did we answer all the questions correctly, we found the mistakes they had in the game and contacted the company and said, yes, this is not correct.
Oh.
That was not, Stanley did not say this. It was Miles who said this or whatever. No, I love.
Did you also watch The Golden Palace?
I hated that.
It was necessary. It was nostalgic.
At the time, yes. I think if they had done the same thing today, they would have just let the show end and not try to carry it on.
Mm-hmm.
But, B. Arthur was done. She wanted to be done, and they didn't want to end the show.
I'm sorry, I don't even know what this show is, so don't look at me.
It was basically they took Sophia and Rose and Blanche, and they sold the house in Miami and bought a hotel. And they were now going to run a hotel together. And
with Don Cheadle.
Yeah, Don Cheadle was the like the hotel manager, and Cheech Marin was the chef.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he and Sophia are going back and forth. And then the show was doing so poorly that they had B. Arthur come back and do like 2 or 3 cameos to try and boost it, and it still didn't work.
Mm.
So yeah, that was
I don't know.
It was like 13 episodes.
Yeah, it was like 1 season and a half, and that was it. But no, I'm Golden Girls Saturday. It was Saturday nights at like 8:00. I remember.
I love the Golden Girls so much that my friends know. There was one day we went to a day party, and I needed a little assistance getting into my bed. And so they got me all together, got me set up in the bed, got my water and everything. And before my best friend left, she turned on the Golden Girls. And I happened to wake up in the middle of the night, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's my dog. That's my dog.
I would not have a problem with that.
That's a shame.
April, did you do the shows like Dynasty and Dallas and all those too? Yeah,
yes.
Those were my mom's favorites.
Yes.
I grew up watching those with her.
Even did the what do you call the shows? The daytime shows?
Soap operas?
Soap operas, General Hospital, One Life to Live. And then we also had Dark Shadows. I don't know if you remember Dark Shadows.
Yes, I do remember. I don't remember seeing many of them, but I do remember the name, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I used
all
to
my
like
children. I watched all of that stuff.
See, and that was when Mom would step in and say, "Do not interrupt me,"
That's right.
I can't. She'd fold her laundry
Mom
in the
would
living
be
room.
watching it, and we had a piano stool, and I was so little, because Mom would be out in the family room watching it, and I would fall asleep on the piano stool while she was watching her stories.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into them.
It would be the only thing on when I would stay home from school sick. And so I really got into watching. It was one called Passions.
Mm.
And I would be pissed off because, now I'm into it, and I got to go to how am I supposed to catch up?
And,
There's no way to catch
VHS
up.
tapes were not cheap then, so you couldn't easily record them.
I don't even think we had VHS at that point.
I remember our first VCR, and that was the catch was the VCR tapes were like $12, and it was like,
remember the 8-track?
Mm-hmm.
That big 8-track. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this was a nice little walk down memory lane.
It was.
Yeah, thanks for taking me with. That was fun. Seriously, I just want to say something about both of you.
Oh, Lord.
No. This is. It has been, honestly, first of all, I'm so proud of your success with your show. So many people are finding it. So many people are listening to it. You're giving some phenomenal messages, but you're both having fun and telling these stories. And I have had absolutely the time of my life being present while you guys are doing these shows. I really have. And I'm honored that you asked me to join every once in a while, and I didn't mean to take over anything, but you're talking about stuff that just means so much to me as well. And I know if it means as much to me, there's other people that are listening and finding out. And
that's what they mean about find your true purpose.
Mm-hmm.
What are you passionate about? Because you ask God, God, what is my purpose? What do you have to go deep inside to find out what you love to do, what makes you happy, and that's how you find your job.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Because people go to jobs every day miserable. I don't feel like I want to work. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do this. I'm tired of doing this, because that's not your purpose in life.
Yeah. Yep.
So you have to find what you're passionate about, and that's how you find your purpose.
You've definitely nailed it
Mm-hmm.
for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You really have.
So you got to continue to ask God, to guide you to and lead you to what's my passion? What do I love?
Yeah.
And I do enjoy doing this. I'd be a little nervous in the beginning. It's like, okay, let's see how this one goes. Hopefully it'll go okay. I don't know if we got enough to talk about, but we always do,
Yeah. Well, that and the one over here who was
Now, wait a
like,
minute.
I don't want to do any of them.
I know.
And now all of a sudden,
She still feels that way.
But it wouldn't be the same without you.
It would.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't, because you both play off each other so well, and you're so much alike and you're so different. And it's just hilarious to hear,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, that I know I'm not the only one with a crazy mother.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it wouldn't be the same without you. You contribute so much to the show, and I think it's just fun. I love it.
All right.
I really do.
Until next time when we break down the next episode of the letter.
What do you think you might want to give them a little taste of for the next episode?
Yeah.
For the next episode, I think I want to go more into how about the first heartbreak?
Okay.
A little bit about church.
I can't be on that one. I'll cry.
Oh, Lord.
I got heartbreaks.
We can get a little bit into that one. We get ready to break down the next part of the letter. Okay, so that'll be our next one, episode 3. Episode 3.
In season 2.
2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all right, guys, continue to love, laugh, have faith, and believe in your dreams. God can do all things. Just ask him for a little help. Peace.
Woo!
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.